Boys, UFC 317. It looks like we're going to be following a trend of having some pretty garbage, international fight week cards. Last year, by far one of the weakest international fight week cards. And this year's not looking any better. So once again, I'm going to be stepping up and making a stacked yet realistic international pay-per-view card, UFC 317. And as you can see on screen, who else is making these just gorgeous looking fantasy card builders? Nobody else is doing it quite like me. But with that being said, as you can see on screen, we have the entire UFC 317 card itself. We have the main card prelims and early prelims, a 5-fight main card, 4-fight prelims, 4-fight early prelims. That being said, this again is going to be very, very realistic, and as I go on from fight to fight to fight, you will realize that not only is this realistic, but this card is honestly very stacked because we are making up for how terrible last year's was. And just because it's stacked doesn't mean this isn't realistic. I don't want to see a single comment in the comments saying how unrealistic this card is, because once I give you guys my reasonings on why they're here, you'll realize the UFC could do this. They're just being retarded. With that being said, we're going to start with the main event. The main event, the fight that should be headlining this fight card. Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, that's so unrealistic. Jon Jones isn't going to fight. We've had Dana come out here and said he's still going to fight. He's aiming for this time. This has been when Jon Jones was scheduled to fight, like in air quotes, scheduled to fight. Dana's confident it's gonna happen. Tom said there's some new news, and to be honest, there's no other fight in the UFC. Maybe a Ilia Topuria versus Makhachev type of fight, but no other fight could headline a card as big as this. And to be honest, we don't need that much top 5 level guys, I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of top 10 guys, but we don't need contenders. We don't need many title fights on this card because of this fight alone. However, with that being said, the card I have up here it makes sense because there's a lot of guys on this card that have big egos. But if they see that, okay, they're going to be on the main card of, such a historical fight card under Jon Jones's most likely retirement fight, and again, maybe one of the best selling pay-per-views of all time, I guarantee they take this spot. With that being said, I still have a title fight on here. It's a women's title fight. I got Zhang Weili taking on Virna Jandiroba. I'm just putting this in here so we don't have to have a stinker pay-per-view where this is the headliner. And shout out for Jandiroba always having one eye forward and one eye on the title, but this is a stinker, to be honest. This is like a bullshit type of fight, but we need it on here. It'll be fun. This, I mainly have Weili here just so, because I guarantee this is going to be one of the bigger pay-per-views that we can make this year. And I'm thinking, okay, who do we want on the main card? Who do we want to promote? Let's put Weili here as a co-main spot so we can get even more eyes on her. And when we can finally build up the Weili versus Valentina or whoever's holding that belt, we can build her up so when she does go up for double champ status, there will be just more attention on it. So that was my thinking of putting Weili here, but yeah, it's an okay co-main event, definitely shadowed by every other fight on here, almost every other fight, but moving down, another low-key bullshit fight, but again, it will bring in eyes. It's the only fight that this dude wants. I have Strickland, Israel Adesanya. Now, Israel Adesanya did say he wants to come back. He's recently training with David Goggins, and he said he wants to come back and get that Strickland fight back. That's the only fight that Izzy probably is going to take. Let's be honest. He's not going to fight another up-and-coming guy. He's not going to fight Fuffy Hernandez. Israel Adesanya, Strickland. Put this as a featured fight, 5-rounders. I don't care. This would be a banger of a fight. And if we're getting Israel Adesanya back and it's only for one more fight, might as well put him on here. Yes, again, like I said, battle of the egos. Is Israel Adesanya going to have his ego hurt that he's not the main event, co-main event? Probably, but once you realize it's one of these historic headliner cards with Jon Jones possibly retiring afterwards, I think it makes sense. I think he'll take this fight. I think he would take it as a featured fight. Moving down, though, again, another dude with some pretty big ego, but once he realizes that, yeah, he's going to be on the same card as Israel Adesanya, something that probably won't ever happen again. If it does, it'll be very rare, so he'll probably take that opportunity. Plus, everything I said with Israel applies to this guy. I have a crazy number 1 contender fight of Kamaru Usman, Joaquin Buckley. Again, I would not be mad. Fuck it, make this a 5-rounder as well. The UFC won't do that because it'll be way too long of a fight card. But yeah, a crazy fight. Maybe not a 5-rounder. I'll be fine with a 3-rounder. You know, Usman hasn't fought in a long ass time, and it makes all the sense, you know, in the world. Again, the UFC could make every fight that I have shown here. They could have made this already. They could make this for UFC 317. That's like 2 months away. It's around like a perfect training camp away. They could do this. I have no idea why they aren't making these matchups. And for the opener, I'm thinking of, you know, something like, what is a fight that we want to have a shit ton of eyeballs on? Who do we want to have in this spot? Who is a new superstar that we need to have a lot of eyeballs on? And I think the perfect fight is going to be Arnold Allen, Jean Silva. Now, mainly because they want to put a shit ton of eyeballs on Jean Silva, and it makes a lot of sense to have it here. And, you know, if Jean Silva goes out here, gets another finish in Arnold Allen on one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year, best believe the UFC is going to try their best to put him in the title shot next. And that's probably what the UFC want to do anyways. The funny thing is, look at this picture. Look at this main card. Like, imagine them at the press conference. Am I the only one thinking that Arnold Allen would be hella uncomfortable in front of this crowd, in front of this lineup? I don't know what it is, but I could see Arnold Allen just like shy away in the corner, not wanting to engage with, you know, certain people on this lineup. And then I have Jean Silva I wouldn't be surprised if Jean Silva's trying to act cool and accidentally drops the N-bomb in front of all these dudes, you know, but then starts barking at them to assert his dominance. But yeah, I think this would be a funny press conference. We have, of course, Jon Jones, Aspinall to go back and forth. Then we have, you know, Sean Strickland. That could be fun as well. Israel Adesanya did have beef with Jon Jones at one time. I don't think there's any beef. Sean Strickland, I guarantee he would go after Jon Jones, you know, and Izzy. Kamaru Usman, I feel like Kamaru Usman is always fun to have a press conference as of lately. You have Joaquin Buckley. Buckley would make it a fun press conference. We have Jean Silva. Jean Silva would make it a fun press conference as well. And then, of course, we have Arnold Allen, who'll be, yeah. And, you know, it'd be a banger. But we can't just have a stacked main card. We have to have a pretty decent prelims as well. Prelims, I don't have as much. Yes, there's name value, but I don't have as much rankings. Every single one of these guys are in the rankings in the main card, but the prelims, not as much. Of course, we have to have a ranking as the opener, and that's going to be a high-stakes fight with a lot of beef on it. I have Marvin Vettori, Brendan Allen. There's a stupid amount of beef on this fight. Don't be surprised if there's, you know, if going into the pay-per-view that Brendan Allen versus Marvin Vettori haven't been, you know, the talking points of the card, because they would probably have the most beef out of everyone on this card. Maybe not as much as Strickland and Adesanya, but it's up there. And I wouldn't be mad having these guys at the press conference as well. But yeah, there would be beef here. There'd be some pushing and shoving at the weigh-ins, at the face-offs, and I'm here for it. We need this one. This would be a banger. And again, realistic. Both these guys haven't fought too recently, and they're ready to go, in my opinion. Moving down, we have to have some prospects on here too. I don't want to have this guy too high up. I was debating even having him lower on the card, but I have him here. A fight that should have been made a while ago, in my opinion. I have Adrian, Yanez, Payton, Talbott. I think this is a perfect time for Adrian Yanez to take this fight. He's probably thinking, you know, this retard just cut off all of his hair. His superpower is gone. Let me take this fight. I think this is a fun fight to have in front of a crowd, a fun fight to have on a historical pay-per-view card itself, and it writes itself. It's easy. I know what you guys are probably thinking too right now. Right about now, you're like, you know, there's no women on this card, and that's true. You know, we have one girl fight on here, and yes, there's 2 more to be added. They're towards the end of the fight. We don't need to have many women on this fight card. Let's not completely destroy it. Yes, maybe this part of it isn't that realistic, but we don't need to have a lot of women on this fight card. They can be left over for the Apex. When we go to the Apex, put women on it. I'm fine with that. But moving down, we need a heavyweight blob fest, you know. I don't want just any heavyweight blob fest. I want one that impacting for the rankings and for both of these dudes' career. Tai Tuivasa, Waldo, Cortes, Acosta. Acosta called out Tai Tuivasa. Tai hasn't fought in a while. I don't even know if this dude is taking his shit seriously, you know. This is a perfect fight for both of these dudes. and a fight where I don't, I'm saying it now, but I could see it happening, but I don't think Acosta is going to shoot and go like a ground heavy approach, but I don't know. I think this would be a fun fight. It'll either be we're either going to be super, super high and excited having our boy Tai Tuivasa snap that losing streak, or low-key depressed having Tai Tuivasa, being shipped out to the GFL. But with that being said, the opener of the prelims, I'm thinking, we want to have eyeballs on this. We want some prospects on this. I think we do prospect versus prospect in, I believe this is flyweight. Rei Tsuruya, Loner Kavanagh. Kavanagh is coming off a really good debut win over someone pretty high in the rankings. I say we do on the biggest fight card of the year. Again, we want to have eyeballs on certain fighters. Yes, maybe we don't want to have eyeballs on, Marvin, Vettori, Arnold, Allen, but they have beef. They add to the pay-per-view. Waldo, Cortes, Acosta, we want to have eyes on him. He's good for the heavyweight division. And then Rei Tsuruya and Loner Kavanagh. Both these dudes are good for the division, but we need to see who's out here. Tsuruya is coming off a loss, so it does diminish him a little bit. And low-key, I guarantee the UFC want Loner Kavanagh to win. I could see Loner Kavanagh getting it done. I think Kavanagh is really, really good. But yeah, those are my prelims. Let's get into the early prelims. Early prelims, the opener, the main event of the early prelims. We got to have a banger, Every main event of either pay-per-views, prelims, the main card itself, I try to have a banger fight on it. And I think we reward the dude who knocked out the why did you redeem it man himself. I think we do Trevor Peak, Quillan, Salkilld. I don't even know how to say his name, but I want these two headlining the fight. I wanted Trevor Peak on this fight card. I think Trevor Peak adds a lot of entertainment value to a fight card. And just look at this fight card already. Doesn't it look? This shit looks realistic as hell. I'm just saying. I think I cooked on this one. I think this is a very realistic fight card. And moving down, and again, mainly we want this one because Trevor Peak is very entertaining. But Quillan, we want eyes on Quillan. He just came out here and fraud checked that Indian dude. And yeah, that's mainly why I have Quillan here. Trevor Peak, again, I already said, adds a lot of entertainment value. Let's move down. We got some women, and they're on the early prelims. I got Iasmin, Lucindo, Jillian Robertson. Jillian Robertson deserves a jump up in the rankings. I think she's fairly entertaining as well. She's way more entertaining than a lot of these women fighters. And Lucindo's coming off a loss. She's higher up in the rankings. This is I'm not mad at having ranked women fighters on the early prelims. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, run this one. I think this would be a fun women fight that you could make. Moving down, we need another heavyweight blob fest. And if we're going to have a blob fest to the max, I think we have entertaining ones. These guys aren't ranked. I got Chris Barnett, Lucas Bresky. We need to have Chris. I love me some Chris Barnett. We need to have Chris Barnett on this pay-per-view some way, somehow, even if it's on the early prelims. He hasn't fought in a minute. He should be ready to go with whatever injury he did have. And yeah, low-key, this is a pretty realistic, win here that Chris Barnett could get. Lucas Bresky isn't that great, in my opinion. But the opener of the entire card, the one to start off this card, I think it's a good one as well. Again, it's ranked women. Maybe this isn't that realistic, but I got Irene Aldana, Aylin Perez. Perez trying to jump up into those rankings a little bit higher up. Aldana trying to keep her, I think she's ranked like 8 or something like that. Coming off a loss, it is what it is. And yeah, if you look closely, I try to get a lot of, different regions. We have American with Jon Jones. We have UK with Tom Aspinall. China with Weili and Adesanya. I don't know what fucking Jandiroba is. We got Nigeria with I'm just kidding. But yeah, we have a lot of different regions for all of these dudes. And again, that just helps with pay-per-view sales. And that's my UFC 317 pay-per-view card. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? And let's just say, hypothetically, this fight did end up happening. Every single fight on this card ended up being official in the exact bout order. What are we ranking this? Are we ranking this is this the best pay-per-view of the year so far? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching to the end of the video, and I will see you guys in my next video.